I welcome you all. You're not a person basically. You're basically a process. Right now as you sit here listening to this and you feel like stable, you feel like a continuous person, a single identity, a single body. I may say a single you moving from your past into your present, then into your future. And what it feels like, it feels obvious, it feels undeniable. But what if I tell you this feeling is not fundamental, it's not fundamental truth of reality, but a carefully constructed experience over a long period of time. My aim is basically to make us feel that we are not persons, we are processes. An experience built in layer by layer by biological features, by physics, and by something even deeper that we are only beginning to understand. So this is the argument, and I would like to talk about this argument because the moment we start looking closely, the idea of being fixed, a person, the idea of being absolute, you begin to dissolve. And and let's begin with your body. If I take an argument, say your body, and inside you right now, millions and billions of cells are dying, and millions of cells are being created. And this is happening quite silently. It's happening continuously, relentlessly. It's going on and on. And your skin is shedding, your blood is renewing. Your blood is basically renewing your organs, and your organs are exchanging matter. They are exchanging matter with the world around you. And this process is, in biological terms, this process is known as cellular turnover. And what does this cellular turnover mean? It means it means something extraordinary. It means it's something more. The body you call yours is not the same body you had few years back. Not even it's not even close what it was few years back. The atoms that once formed your face, my face, your hands, your heart, and many of them are gone. The most of them are gone. And these atoms are replaced. And this is not a one time event. It's an event going on and on as long as we live biologically. And this is happening right now. The same process is happening right now in our bodies. So you should pause. You should pause for a moment and ask yourself, and what you should ask, if the matter has changed, if this structure has been rebuilt, then what exactly remained the same? most of the atoms in our bodies, they have been replaced by the new atoms, then who we are? What exactly is this? Is this exactly you who was a few years back? No. It feels continuous. We feel as if we are continuously there. And to answer that, we need to go deeper. We need to go deep inside the argument, because atoms do not just disappear. What they do is they move. They move from one point to another point, and times they circulate, and what they do is they participate in something far larger than your body, and every participation has its own significance, has its own importance. So I can say that every atom inside you was once somewhere else. So long before, if I translate it this way, long before you were born, these atoms were the part of the stars. These atoms were the part of the planet. And these atoms they were forged in extreme conditions, while lighter atoms, lighter elements, they fused into the heavier ones. So in the language, we can say here that in the language of physics, this is nuclear fusion that's going on in the stars. And these stars, they have lived, they have died, and their death, they scattered these elements across the universe. Because these elements, if we think, if the argument is in terms of the Earth as a laboratory, for Earth it's impossible to build these elements. And from that cosmic debris, your body was formed. You're not just living in the universe, as long as the laws, as long as the science, the scientific understanding is concerned. You are basically made of these ancient atoms and elements that were built in these huge masses in the universe. And even now, you are not separate from this cosmos. We are not separate from this universe. With every breath I take, with every breath you take, with every molecule you consume, you are exchanging basically matter. You're exchanging your matter with your environment. No one can deny that reality. So we can say at this point of time that nothing is truly static in the universe. It's not static in our bodies. Everything is flowing in, flowing out. And this flow follows one of the most, it goes with one of the most fundamental principles in physics. And the principle that we call as energy and matter, they are not created, they are not destroyed. All they do is the energy is transformed from one state to another state. They only change the forms. So when your body changes, it's not becoming something new. From this point of view, it's not translating into something new. But what it's doing basically is it's participating in a continuous, we can call it a continuous transformation that began long before you existed, long before I existed, long before everything existed. Now I ask you to let you think again. I'm telling you to think again, and let's try to think in the framework of science. If the matter is constantly changing, then what is holding your identity together? Because we can hold it. You can hold it. You might say, "Oh, come on, it's because of the brain. My brain is doing the job, and it's coordinating the different organs of my body, and that's where my thoughts are. That's where the memories are, and that's where we can think of that I or you being a personality uh, is embedded in the form of those superposed thoughts, and that must be me. But even this certainly begins to fade when we try to look very close, when we try to peep into this reality, because your brain is not a fixed matter. Our brain, your brain, it's not fixed. It's dynamic. And every experience, everything that we experience, that you experience, every thought that you think, and every memory you form, there is existence of those gradients. And all of these things is physically reshaping your brain, my brain. So we can say here that the connections between the neurons, they strengthen, they weaken, and they disappear, and maybe they reform. This is how the process goes on. And in medical science, we call it is called neuroplasticity. What it means is, it means that the very structure that you trust to define you, now you have to trust a particular structure so that we can define your personality, and it's all changing. The personality that we possess, it's all changing because of the creation and annihilation of the things going on in our brain. So now we have a deeper problem here. What's that? Your body changes, and I should say, your brain changes. And yet, and still, you still feel like the same person. The person that I was, the person that you were a few years back. Now, why is it? Why is it so? Why does this continuity come from? And how do we feel that state of continuity? To answer this question, that we must take a step beyond the biological science, and we must look into the structure of reality itself. We must peep into the structure of reality itself. In your everyday experience, you feel like you're moving through time. The time goes on, and your mechanics goes through that time, and you feel it from past to present. So it's like a continuum moving on from past to present and to future. So it feels like a flow. It feels, we can articulate it like, it feels like a progression. It feels like a journey. And physics, and I should say, but physics challenges this intuition. And why it challenges? If we go into the framework of relativity, according to relativity, time is not something that flows. Time is not something that flows independently. Instead, time is woven together with the space and forming a single structure, what we call as space-time, as we know it, as it was predicted by Albert Einstein. In this view, your life is not something, it's not being something being created moment by moment, or destroyed and created by moment and moment. It's more like a path. It's more like a path already embedded in this structure, in this framework of space and time. Your past still exists, your future already exists. At this moment, at this point of time, you call now is just one slice of much larger reality. So now everything begins to shift. It shifts. You're not moving because of the theoretical framework. You're not moving through time. You are basically located within it. You are located within the framework of this space-time. Your childhood and this moment and your final moment, all of these stages, all of these paths are all part of a single extended existence. Not becoming, it's not like saying that it's not becoming something, it's not vanishing. If we think it at a very, very fundamental level, it's just existing. It's existing in different regions of space and time. So now ask yourself, if I ask myself again, if you ask yourself again, if you ask the same question, what are you? If you're not a fixed body, you're not a fixed brain, not even I can say you're not even a single moving moment, then what is this? Then what you are? What am I? And what is this? You, me. The answer begins to emerge when we stop thinking of ourselves as object. When we start thinking ourselves as an object and start thinking in terms of the patterns. And in physics, many systems are not defined by their material, but they are defined by their structure. They are woven into that structure. A wave, if you think about a wave in an ocean, a wave in the ocean is not made of the fixed water molecule. The molecules keep on changing, but the patterns persist. The pattern persists. You're like, I can say you're like that dynamic pattern formed by constantly changing matter. And constantly changing matter and it's guided by the physical laws and sustained by that complex biological process that's going on inside you, that's going on inside me, what we call as a living process. And it's not a thing, not a thing, but an ongoing activity, an activity going on. And now, and now, just just when this picture begins to settle down, when you try to think in this framework, you just go into the framework of quantum physics. Now, the quantum physics enters in our argument, and now, from quantum point of view, everything becomes even more strange. We had a framework of space-time, but if we think about the same thing from quantum point of view, because so far we have assumed, we have imagined something quietly in the background. The overall fabric, the existence of all times, no flow of time. That reality exists independently out there, waiting to be observed. But at the smallest scales, this assumption of the whole thing, this assumption begins to break. It begins to fragmentize. It begins to feel like violated. And that's where it happens in quantum mechanics. Particles do not behave like solid objects. They are described by probabilities here. And we know in physics, we calculate these probabilities by taking the complex conjugate of the wave function. So by wave-like entities that do not have the definite properties until something very specific happens. And what's that something that happens is when you start to make a measurement. Before measurement, there are possibilities. Before measurement, there are infinite possibilities. Before measurement, a system exists in multiple possible states at once. Not here, not there. But there is a continuous of superposition of possibilities. If you're not looking at that, if you're not looking at that atom, if you're not looking at that molecule, if you're not looking at that electron, now all encoded in what physics call the very psi, the wave function psi. But the moment you try to see it, the moment you allow the light to fall on it, you allow a photon to hit that thing, something strange changes. Something strange happens. And one outcome appears out of many probabilities, out of many possibilities. A definite reality emerges out of infinite realities that could have been there before we could even observe it. And this leads to a profound question. The question is, what counts? What counts as measurement? And what causes this transformation? If there is the existence of all these patterns, if there is this long range of possibilities, and what makes it to appear as a single reality? Is it a device? Is it an interaction? Or is it something deeper than that? Is it something more fundamental than that? Because every measuring device is also made of particles. You want to measure something, you you have to you have to make it interact with your system. And those particles follow, they basically follow the same quantum rules. The particles that have to interact with your system. So why does the chain end? Lots of possibilities, and lots of possibilities. And this is the mystery of the observer. Because the observer brings only one reality out of all these realities that exist. The realization that the observation is not just a passive thing. It's a part of process through which reality becomes definite. The reality becomes definite. Prior to that observation, there are infinite realities. And now bring this back. Now let me bring this back to you or me. You're not outside this system. I'm not outside this system. What am I trying to tell here is that your body, your brain, and your atoms, they are all part of this quantum world, which means something extraordinary. It means something unbelievable. You're not just observing reality. You are participating, basically. You are participating in that reality through your interactions, through measurements, through awareness. And you are not, no, I should say that you are part of that mechanism through which possibilities become actual. But underlying all of these actual things, there lie infinite possibilities. And some interpretations of quantum theory, they even go they go even further. And they come up with a suggestion. They suggest that every possible outcome actually occurs. In different branches of reality, you have multiple versions of events, and all of these events, all of these multiple versions of events, they're all existing simultaneously. They're existing in one branch, one outcome. In another, something completely different. What does that mean? How we can describe this thing? It means, or which means, there may not be just one version of you. There may not be just one version of me, but countless versions, each following a different path. Each following different, say, classical trajectories. And yet you experience only one. a single thread of reality, a single outcome, a single resultant resonance of you, a single narrative, a single self, a single you. Why? Why? A single you, a single me. Because your your awareness is tired to that thread, that specific unfolding of events. Now step back, go back, and look at the full picture. Try to visualize the whole story. Try to visualize the whole picture. Your body is not fixed. Your brain is not fixed. Time may not be flowing, and reality may not be definite. It may not be definite until it's observed. It's very crazy. It's very complex. So what are you? What am I? You're not a thing. You're not a moment. Not even, I can say, not even just an observer. What you are basically is, you are a process. A process that exists within space-time, built from changing matter, guided by the physical laws, and entangled with the very structure of reality. So you're not a person, you're a process. You're a process through which the universe interacts. It interacts with itself. And I think now we arrive at the edge of this argument. We reach out to the edge of this argument. If your identity is a pattern, if continuity is an experience, and if reality itself depends on, if it depends on the interaction, then what is this? What is this moment? What is this moment right now? Is it something you are passively experiencing? Or is it something being actively formed? Something being actively formed through the interaction between you and the rest, between me and the rest of the universe. This is an argument, because without interaction, without measurements, and without observation, the universe at its deepest level remains a field of possibilities, a field of infinite possibilities. And through you and through your existence, some of those possibilities become real. And so I can say that that when you look at the world, so when you look at the world, you're not just seeing it. You're not just seeing it as an independent identity. You're basically participating in its definition. You're being the part of the definition of this world. And now comes the final question. If everything you are is a process, as we started with this argument, that that you are not a person, you're a process, then who is asking this question? Is it you? Is it me? Is there a fixed self behind it? Or or is the question itself the part of the process? Because it's coming out of that process. And 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 I can say, and maybe you're not a person moving through a pre-existing universe. And what can I say? Maybe uh, maybe you are some kind of you are a dynamic event within a vast interconnected universe, the vast interconnected reality. A moment, uh, a moment where biology, physics, science, and awareness come together. Maybe that's what we are. That's what we are in that moment. That's what we are in that specific point of time. The universe does something. It does something extraordinary. It makes it happen. It becomes aware. It becomes aware of itself. It becomes knowledgeable of itself through me, through you. And the next time, and the next time, the next time you say, this is me, you should stop at that moment of time. You should pause and literally you should stop thinking, is it me? Because that me is not, it's not something permanent. It's not something always. And at the same time, it's not something fixed. It's neither. It's a living process. It's a process, a flowing pattern, a pattern going on, a living process going on, a temporary but profound, a temporary or a profound expression of the universe itself. And the real question is, is no longer who am I? It's not a question that who am I, but something far deeper, something far deep, something greater. And what is this process? What is this process through which the universe is experiencing itself as me?